you to take your seats. We will start our program within a very short time.
I have seen him.
Just waiting for him to, so that he should get his seated.
Yeah.
Should I go ask my DC? Where is he?
Yes, sure.
We had resolved the first two rows, but anyway, I'll just say please come forward.
By 6:40 we can.
Addition is saying we can ask people to move front a little bit, or is it just huh?
It's okay. Yes, because in every seat they can't. It's
So we don't even ask them to come thoda. It's okay.
I'm telling my staff to request. Yeah. It's already live on Facebook and requested me to start. Should I start now because they are have
Signaled my ambassador.
so I'm again telling everybody to settle down to have their seats, and we are commencing our program.
Good evening. We humbly request you to please take your seats.
Should I start? There goes me.
Should I go tell my DC?
No, you announced that within 2 minutes we are starting our program. Within 2 minutes we are starting.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting the program in 2 minutes.
Yes, I believe we can start.
Excellencies, ambassadors, permanent delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you all. It is indeed an honor for Bangladesh and India to welcome you all at the joint celebration of Maitri Divas. Throughout this evening's event, I, Dayamoi Chakraborty, First Secretary, Bangladesh Embassy, Paris.
And I, Pujya Priyadarshini, Third Secretary of the Embassy of India, will be your hosts. It was today, on the 6th of December 1971, 50 years ago, that the people and the government of the Republic of India recognized the legitimate aspirations of the people of Bangladesh to form an independent country.
The father of the nation of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, declared the independence on the 26th of March 1971. After a long armed struggle of 9 months and sacrifice of 3 million lives, we, the people of Bangladesh, established our identity as the pole bearer of the decorated red and green flag. Throughout our war of liberation, the people and the government of India stood by us, provided shelters to our people, helped our freedom fighters, and in the penultimate days, the Indian armed forces fought alongside our freedom fighters to achieve the final victory.
Our modest effort tonight is to entertain you with the rich cultural heritage of the two countries. Without further ado, we shall begin with the cultural performances by the Indian troupe. We have with us today 4 gifted dancers who will showcase the dance forms from Indian regions neighboring Bangladesh. We have Ms. Sharmila Sharma performing Kathak, a dance form from north of India. Ms. Mahina Khanum performing Odissi, a classical dance popular in Odisha and West Bengal. Ms. Betsabel Falfan performing Satriya, a dance form born in the monasteries of Assam. And Ms. Angela Sturzer, who will perform Tanum, a presentation of Manipuri dance. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting India's cultural performance.
That was truly a mesmerizing performance. Now, I would humbly request His Excellency Mr. Jawad Ashraf, Ambassador of India to France, to deliver his speech. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, a warm round of applause for all the performers here today. They really lit up the evening. Your Excellency, Ambassador Konkar Talha, Madam Talha, Excellencies from our friendly countries, distinguished delegation from Bangladesh, a very warm welcome to you here in Paris, to my colleagues from our embassy, to my colleagues from the Bangladeshi embassy, to all the friends of India and Bangladesh who are here today with us this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank UNESCO for letting us use these facilities in these difficult times and the constraints of COVID. But the fact that we are here today speaks of the resilience of Bangladesh and of India and the strength of our friendship, that we are always prepared to deal with every kind of adversity that we face and take our relationship forward and our two great nations ahead. We're all here to celebrate the Maitri Divas, the first of between India and Bangladesh. And I'd like to thank Ambassador Talha for his leadership in organizing this. It's the best way to welcome him here in Paris, where he's just been for a month. Now, we've heard why we celebrate, or why Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi and Her Excellency Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, who was here not so long ago, decided in this March to celebrate December 6th as the first Maitri Divas. And the reason is that it was on this day that India formally recognized Bangladesh. It was not yet the end of the war. It was still on. The dawn of freedom was still some time away. But the first light of hope was already there after the darkest periods in the history of Bangladesh and the Bangladesh people. We all remember the horrors of 25th March, the darkest nights of our times. We remember the struggles and the sacrifices and the unimmeasurable toll that it took on the civilian population that led them, 10 million of them, to seek refuge in a friendly country. But we also remember the epic struggle, the courage and the bravery of the Mukti Jodha of Bangladesh, who rallied together to wage an unprecedented freedom struggle against one of the mightiest armies and one of its most brutal. We were honored to join that struggle, first as a people of India that were stirred by that epic freedom struggle that the people of Bangladesh in our neighborhood were waging, but also by the brave soldiers of Indian Army who fought side by side with the brave Mukti Jodhas as one. 1,650 of them made the supreme sacrifice. And to this day, Bangladesh recognizes their sacrifice in a way that truly reflects the greatness of a nation. But the light of this story, the great force behind this great struggle, was, of course, the Jatirpita, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He was one of the tallest leaders of our times, one of the greatest figures of the 20th century, the great symbol of the moral values that symbolize our region, and our people. We have all heard about him, read about him. He was an unrelenting champion of justice, equality, of dignity of people. He was the sage of peace. He was that arrow of peaceful struggle against coercion and brutality, and he was the great shield of his people. He was the voice of the aspiration of the people of Bangladesh, and he was the deliverer of their destiny. And the nation of Bangladesh was born in difficult circumstances. Not too many people had given hope that this country would survive, would prosper. But 50 years later, 100 years after the birth, when we are celebrating the birth of the father of the nation, 50 years after we are celebrating the independence of Bangladesh, 50 years of India-Bangladesh friendship, we can say with great joy as neighbors and friends that Bangladesh has become a symbol of progress, prosperity, inclusion, moderation, not just in our region, but across the world. It is an inspiration for our region and for our world. A nation of 165 million people today is the second largest economy in South Asia. It has a per capita GDP that exceeds that of India. It has social indicators that are better than most in our region, and certainly in some cases better than ours. It has become the second largest exporter of garments, and not just anything, some of the most sophisticated garments. I am personally deeply admire their porcelain also. It's some of the finest that you will ever see anywhere. And those of you who haven't, please get your hands on them. It has shown what women's empowerment is all about, gender equality is all about, how a nation can develop through empowerment of its people and through improvement of its social indicators. And just as Bangladesh hit the milestone of 50, it also graduated from the ranks of the least developed country to a developing nation with a great future ahead. And we have to not just admire the great talent and the dynamism of the people, but also the extraordinary leadership of Begum Sheikh Hasina. And just as our relationship between India and Bangladesh is forged in the blood, the sacrifice, and the struggle of the freedom struggle, it is also anchored in a shared heritage of language, of culture, of traditions, of the joy of Eid and the fervor of Durga Puja. It is in Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, who has composed the national anthem of both our countries, the inspiring, soul-stirring poetry of Qazi Nasrul Hasan, Islam. But it is also in the leadership, in the relationship that we have forged today, of great trust and cooperation. We are two nations. We have a land boundary of 4,000 square kilometers where people live cheek by jowl, but we have settled our land boundary in 2015 when the Parliament of India passed the constitutional amendment bill by a unanimous vote. In 2014, we settled our maritime boundary, and at a time when people are calling into question the provisions of international law, our two countries showed how to respect international law and the judgment of an arbitration. Today, we have a vibrant trade relationship. We are Bangladesh's second largest trading partner, and Bangladesh in South Asia is our largest trading partner. We have an excellent development partnership, about $10 billion of projects under execution, and it is to the credit of the talent and quality of leadership and the civil service in Bangladesh that the projects have excellent execution rate. We are building great connectivity on rail, on land, on road, on coastal shipping, on transmission lines and on gas pipelines. Today, Bangladesh is becoming a lifeline for northeastern states of India, which have a very challenged connectivity with India. But we are dreaming bigger because we wish to connect our region, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and India together, and we have set our eyes higher towards Southeast Asia, when India and Bangladesh could become the bridge between South and Southeast Asia. Today, the largest number of tourists that visit India come from Bangladesh. We have excellent cooperation in education, in healthcare, and COVID was just one example. But we are today cooperating in frontier areas of science, of civil nuclear energy, of space. And as you know, Bangladesh has become a space power with its own satellite. And in digital technology. So this is a relationship that is anchored in a timeless heritage, but it has set its eyes to the future. And today we are working together in international forum. And when we speak about regional and international fora, we have to mention BIMSTEC, and it was Bangladesh which took the leadership in SAARC, and it is now going to chair the Indian Ocean Regional Association, and we wish it luck. It's a great opportunity to bring our region together. And we must thank Bangladesh, and we speak in admiration for the generosity it has shown over the last several years in hosting a large population of Rakhine refugees, of Rohingya refugees from Rakhine. So its leadership, its moral leadership in the international forum and the international relations is already evident. And it is with this sort of solid, broad-based relationship that we are forging our partnership for the future. It is a relationship that we dream of for our neighbors, or between neighbors, as a model relationship, when we will live in complete harmony and mutual trust, when our connectivity will be seamless, when the rivers that we share nurture people on both sides of the boundary fairly and equally, when we can move across our boundaries and borders easily and freely, when we can become a source of integration in our region in South Asia and a bridge to the world beyond, when we become one voice in international forums, and when our cooperation leads us both to become more secure and more prosperous, and to help build a more sustainable, more secure future for our region and for our world. And this is a partnership that we deeply believe in, and what Bangladesh deeply believes in. We're honored to be friends of a great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for your remarks.
I would like to now invite His Excellency Mr. Khonkar M. Talha, Ambassador of Bangladesh to France and the Permanent Delegate to UNESCO, to please take the floor and deliver his remarks.
And yes, there will be speeches. When was the last time you were invited by a diplomatic mission and there were no speeches? So bear with me. Ambassador Jawad Ashraf has made my work light, so I will not be long. And despite that mesmerizing performance by the Indian troop, I would dare to say a few words on this very special occasion. Excellencies, distinguished officials of UNESCO and the French government, esteemed diaspora of India and Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, Shubha Shandha, bonsoir, and very good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us to celebrate a momentous occasion in the history of Bangladesh and India. As you have heard, on this very day, 50 years ago, India recognized Bangladesh as a sovereign state while we were still fighting our war of independence. 3 days prior to that, Indian armed forces joined our Mukti Bahini, the freedom fighters, to deliver the final blow against the occupational forces. And the long-cherished dream of the people of Bangladesh of identity, dignity, and independence came true on the 16th of December, 1971. By 6th December, Bangladesh has been fighting for its independence for over 8 months. On 26th March 1971, our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, declared independence and instructed us to resist the genocidal attack unleashed against the unarmed civilians. The unjust war thrust upon us a cost of 3 million lives, dignity of more than 200,000 women, and displaced millions of people who took refuge in India. More than 18,000 Indian nationals, including the members of armed forces, were either killed or injured in that war. On this day, I solemnly recall the supreme sacrifice of those martyrs and oppressed. The government of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina conferred Friends of Bangladesh and Bangladesh Liberation War Awards to the people of India, the armed forces of India, and also those esteemed Indian political leaders, academicians, journalists, military commanders, social activists, along with other nationals who supported our cause in 1971, out of the deep gratitude and respect for their contributions. We are also building a war memorial in remembrance of the martyred Indian soldiers and nationals. The foundation stone of the memorial was jointly laid by our two prime ministers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, in March this year. Excellencies, Maitri Divas means Friendship Day, both in Bangladesh and India. That's the same phrase that we use. Our friendship of millennia transcends the customary connotation of the word. It is a friendship of two peoples with shared history and heritage, culture and language, in mutual trust and respect. Only the contours drawn by geopolitics divide us. This year, Bangladesh and India are celebrating the day around the globe. I am further honored to share that the festivity is conjoined with our year-long commemoration of the Golden Jubilee of our independence and birth centenary of our father of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, our post-independence journey with India has been a remarkable one. Bangladesh and India worked closely to remove the colonial-era impediments to foster closer ties, as you have just heard from the Ambassador of India regarding the land boundary agreements that we have, the land boundary problems that we have so amicably resolved. Block by block, we built a harmonious relationship to facilitate trade, commerce, connectivity. Over the last 50 years, both the countries have transformed the narrative of cooperation into partnership. Even at this challenging time of pandemic, India extended all possible support to us. And today, Bangladesh-India relationship is considered a role model for neighborhood diplomacy. Bangladesh, at 50, is perhaps no longer known as a country of poverty and floods. It is rather commended as a developmental model. Our GDP growth rate, per capita income, and other socioeconomic indicators bear a testimony to our progress. And as you heard, we are about to graduate from the LDC status. We, however, did not achieve this alone. And there was a huge contribution from our Indian friends. We had our friends, other friends and partners supporting us throughout the 5-decade-long journey of rebuilding from scratch. And I take this opportunity to thank them all for their unwavering support. Bangladesh has always been a peace-loving nation. Our conviction was reinforced through our bitter experience of conflict and war. We are the promoter of culture of peace at the United Nations. A global peace conference was just concluded yesterday in Dhaka. We have been one of the highest troop contributors to UN peacekeeping operations. It is our way of contributing to the global peace, and particularly to Africa. Today, we boldly add voice with those who speak for the weak, the vulnerable, and the displaced. Excellencies, it is our collective pleasure to exhibit the historic and cultural ties tonight in Paris, the global capital of culture. I most sincerely thank Ambassador Javed Ashraf and his team for the support and cooperation in celebrating the Maitri Divas jointly. Thank you, Ambassador. And of course, the provider of the venue, the UNESCO, we chose a place and they agreed to promote and showcase the culture of our two countries. As I conclude, let me recall a quote from our shared pride. The Nobel laureate in Bangla literature, Rabindranath Tagore, whom, as you have heard, who is the author of the national anthems of both India and Bangladesh. And I quote, "Let us unite, not in spite of our differences, but through them. For differences can never be wiped away, and life would be so much poorer without them. Let all human race keep their personalities and yet come together, not in a uniformity that is dead, but in a unity that is living." Unquote. Let us celebrate unity in diversity together. I thank you all. Long live Bangladesh-India friendship. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for your remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's the time for an expose by Bangladesh. Shadhona, an acclaimed cultural organization of Bangladesh, will perform From Finite to Infinite, based on compassionate philosophy of Shahaza, the instinctive nature and spontaneity that is innate in all sentient beings. The production is choreographed and directed by Ms. Lubna Mariam, one of the renowned dance directors and an academician of performing arts in Bangladesh. The 6 performers who traveled from Bangladesh are Mr. Amit Chaudhry, Ms. Shammi Akhtar, Mr. Abu Naim, Ms. Juwairia Mouli, Mr. M.D. Hanif, and Ms. Anindita Khan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy From Finite to Infinite.
the thing. Good evening. It gives us great pleasure to welcome you today. Brief presentation on cultural practices of Bangladesh, most being cross-border, shared with neighboring countries. On 6 February 1972, at the Brigade Parade Grounds in Kolkata, Bangabandhu, the father of our nation, confidently stated that the people of Bangladesh will build a Sonar Bangla on the ashes of destruction. This conviction was based on the enduring spirit of Bangladesh. Through centuries, the cultural practices of East Bengal, now Bangladesh, have empowered the common man to think beyond the normative confines of sectarian beliefs to an eclecticism, at the core of which is the compassionate philosophy of Sahaja. Sahaja is the instinctive naturalness and spontaneity that is innate in all sentient beings. Sahaja philosophy, based on this concept, proclaims the individual's capacity to realize truth through embodied practice. And it is this concept of Sahaja that has for centuries fired the imagination of the people of this amazing deltaic land that is Bangladesh, which is not just a confluence of rivers from the east, west, and the north, but also a land that has witnessed the convergence of mystic beliefs from far and wide, which have all converged into the ocean of Sahaja. The earliest instance of the performance of Sahaja thoughts are the songs and dances of the Buddhist Charyapada texts written in East Bengal around the 10th century. We present an exposition of Charya dances with the chant of the Vajra Yogini, the reigning deity of Vajrayana Buddhism, extensively practiced in medieval East Bengal. Sorasalasya is a chant of 16 offerings to the deities.
Namaste Vajrayogini Pragya Vigyana Varadehaste Namaste Sri Vajrayogini Naranam Tam Nahina Na
Vajrabamsetram Vajramridangeri Vajramuruje Vajralase Vajramalitram Vajragite Him Vajranritte Vajrapuspe Vajradhupetram Vajra Avalokiterhim Vajragandhe Vajradarshane Rashabhadretram Sparshabhadrehim Dharmadhatu Garbhe Om
Around the 14th century, Sri Chaitanya, the great Bengali saint, promulgated the bhakti or devotional movement that worshipped the various forms of the flute-playing cowherd deity Sri Krishna. Devotion was expressed through Nata Sankirtan or collective singing and dancing. Sahaja in Vaishnavism was expressed as love. Parallels between human love and divine love were further explored by the Vaishnava Sahaja movement. In Bangladesh, the Manipuris sing and dance to Bangla Vaishnava Kirtans or songs written by medieval Vaishnava saints of East Bengal such as Narottam Das Thakur, Haridas Thakur, et al. Our next presentation of Manipuri is Bangshi Anurag, or the lure of the flute, which is all about the spiritual call of the melodious tunes of Krishna's flute. Krishna symbolizes the Paramatma or the infinite, and the devotees and individual souls or Atma who yearn to be united with Krishna.
Papa mama gagare dhani sa sarega paga mama gare sarega paga mama gare modhuro
A bit to speak about the poets Rabindranath Tagore and Kazi Nazrul Islam. Brahmo Samaj, formed in 1828 by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in Kolkata, was one of the most influential reformist movements of modern India. It is from within the folds of this community that Rabindranath Tagore, the greatest Bengali poet, arose. Tagore's writings celebrate a nameless, infinite, creative principle. For Tagore, Sahaja is transformed into pure Anandam or bliss. He writes, melodious, verily melodious tones play in the lotus of my heart. Reveal the beauty of this music to me. Pray, do not stay concealed. On the other hand, poet Kazi Nazrul Islam's assimilation of Hindu philosophies with Sufi thoughts created a genre of pluralism within Bengali literature.
More নিভৃত বাসিনী বীণা পানি অমৃত মূরতি মতি বাণী কিরণ কিরণ ছবিখানি পরাণের কথা সে বিরাজে হৃদয় কমল বনমাঝে মধুর মধুরিত জাগে দিবানিশি পিক প্রহরিত দিশি দিশি মানস মধুপ পদ তলে মুরছি পড়িছে পরিমলে এসো দেবী এসো এ আলোকে একবার দৌড়ে হেরি চোখে গোপনে থেকো না থেকো না থেকো না গোপনে থেকো না মনোলোকে ছায়াময় মায়াময় সাজে হৃদয় কমল বনমাঝে মধুর মধুর ধ্বনি বাজে হৃদয় কমল বনমাঝে মধুর তারারে দানি তারে তাকু তারে পিতে তাকে দানো নম তারারে তিলানা তারারে দানি তারে তাকু তারে পিতে তাকে তারারে দানি তারে তাকু তারে পিতে তাকে দানো নম তারারে নম তারারে দানো নম তারারে তিলানা ধনুতা ঝমতা তিরে ধীম তানা নাতলা কুতক ধীম সানি সাদানি সারে ধনুতা ঝমতা তিরে ধীম তানা নাতলা কুতক ধীম সানি সাদানি সাসি সাহ কুঝমতা বিরতক তাহ কুঝমতা তাহ কুঝমতা বিরতক তাহ কুঝমতা তাবির তুম সারে গাধে তাবির তুম রেগা মাতা তাবির তুম সারে গাধে তাবির তুম রেগা মাতা তাবির তুম সারে গাধে তাবির তুম রেগা গামা মাতা তাবির তুম সারে রেগা গাধে তাবির তুম দানা তানো নম তাদারে নম তাদারে তানো নম তাদারে তিলানা তাদারে লাইনি তেরে তাকুন্দরি কিতে তাকে তানো নম তাদারে তিলানা তানো নম তাদারে তিলানা তানো তাদারে তিলানা
আজ শ্রাবণের শুক্লা পঞ্চমী। এই শাওন ঘন দেয়া গর্জনে বৃষ্টির ছমছমানি শুনতে শুনতে সহসা আমার মনে হলো আমার বেদনা এই বর্ষার সুরে বাঁধা। আজ এই বনে ময়ূর পেখম ধরেছে, ফোটা কদম ফুলে কার শিহরণ কাঁটা দিয়ে উঠছে, আর কিসের ঘন মাতাল করা সুরভিতে নেশা হয়ে সারা বনের গা টলছে। আজ এখানে গাজরি উৎসবের মহাধুম পড়েছে।
গাজরি নাচিয়া চলো পুরনারি হরষে, গাজরি নাচিয়া চলো পুরনারি হরষে। শ্যাম সুন্দর মেঘ পরশে আমরা বাহিরে যাব, আমরা বাহিরে যাব ঘন শ্যাম দরশে। ঝিম 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 ঘন দেয়া বরষে, ঝিম 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 রিম ঝিম রিম ঝিম ঝিম রিম ঝিম রিম ঝিম ঝিম।
The advent of Islam through Sufi saints saw a unique amalgamation that culminated in Sufi yogic practices of the fakirs. Baus and fakirs practiced secret devotional rites centering on the belief that the human body is the seat of the divine principle whom they referred to as Sahaja Manush. They identified themselves in opposition to more conventionally religious Hindus and Muslims. Specifically, they identify themselves as being in Bortoman, a category basically constructed in opposition to Onuman or inference of others' knowledge or conjecture. Lanon Shai, the great fakir, writes, Amon Maunot Shamaj আর কি হবে? Will there again be such beautiful human existence?
আর কি হবে? মন যা করো তারাই করো এইভাবে।
এমন মানব জনম আর কি হবে? মন যা করো তারাই করো এভাবে।
সৃষ্টি করলে ছাই শুনি মানবের তার কিছুই নাই। অনন্ত রূপ সৃষ্টি করলে ছাই শুনি মানবের তার কিছুই নাই। একটি পুতাগান করে আরাধন জন্ম দিতে মানবে, একটি পুতাগান করে আরাধন জন্ম দিতে মানবে। মন যা করে তারাই করো কি হবে মন যা করো তারাই করো কিভাবে কত ভাগে ফলে না জানি মনে রে পেয়েছ এ মানব তরুণী কত ভাগে ফলে না জানি মনে রে পেয়েছ এ মানব তরুণী বেজা তারাই করে শোভারায় যেন ভাড়া ডুবে বেজা তারাই করে শোভারায় যেন ভাড়া ডুবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে আমার মানব জনম আর কি হবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে
has empowered a whole new generation of young Bangladeshis to claim their own interpretation of religious tradition as legitimate and authoritative. So they sing in tune to Lalun Fakir. When will the day dawn when no one will invoke religion, caste or creed to divide men? And so cries Lalun Fakir, when shall such a beautiful day dawn upon us when we are all one?
মানুষই হবে মাধুর্য ভজন তাই তো মানবের রূপ দিলেন নিরঞ্জন এই মানুষই হবে মাধুর্য ভজন তাই তো মানবের রূপ দিলেন নিরঞ্জন এবার দেখলেন আর দেখি কিনা অধিক লালন তাই ভাবে এবার দেখলেন আর দেখি কিনা অধিক লালন তাই ভাবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে আমার মানব জনম আর কি হবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে আমার মানব জনম আর কি হবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে করো তারাই করো কিভাবে
মুঞ্জা করো তারাই করো এভাবে
Involves the use of bamboo sticks. Etymologically, Rai meaning royal and Beshe from Bash meaning bamboo gives it the name Rai Beshe. Other nomenclatures are Lathi Khela, Lathi Bari, Shardar Bari, Nuri Khela. Our final performance intermeshes this martial art with folk songs celebrating Bangladesh. Raja Pratapadittya of Jasor in the 17th century is said to have had 52,000 dhanis or Rai Beshes under his patronage. British administrative reports during the colonial era also mentioned Lathi Khela as a local form of sport. However, due to draconian performance laws by the British, this art went into a decline. In 1932, Guru Shadai Datta, an ICS officer who identified many folk performances, started the Brahmachari movement to inspire the youth. These included training in Lathi Khela. The beauty of Lathi Khela and most folk performances in Bangladesh is that the invocation begins with an invocation to Allah, Rasul, Saraswati, and the Hindu gods and goddess all in one breath. And this is the plurality that we celebrate in Bangladesh.
জাগিন জাগিন জাগিন
की जय किच खिलिता तिलिता तिलिता ता ता झाउर की जय किच खिलिता तिलिता तिलिता ता ता झाउर की जय किच खिलिता तिलिता तिलिता ता ता झाउर की जय इजगिना उर्गिनकता कुरकुरता कुरकुरकता कुरकुरता गिनगिनकता कुरकुरता कुरकुरकता कुरता कुकुर कुकुर कुरा कुरता कुरा कुरता कुरा कुरता कुरा कुरकुरा हिजागिन 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 झा जागिन झा 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 जागिन ता 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 जागिन झा जागिन ता जागिन झा जागिन ता जागिन 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 झा ता 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 या हे
धिदिम 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 धिताम धिदिताम धिदिताम ধিদিম 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 ধিতাম ধিদিতাম ধিদিতাম আজকে মোর প্রাণ সজনী গো হয় আমার মন করে উতলা আজকে মোর প্রাণ সজনী গো হয় আমার মন করে উতলা আমি জলের ঘাটে দেখে আইলাম ধিদিম 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 ধিতাম ধিদিতাম ধিদিম আমি জলের ঘাটে দেখে আইলাম আমার বন্ধু শিকন কালা হয় আমার মন করে উতলা আমার বন্ধু শিকন কালা হয় আমার মন করে উতলা আজকে মোর প্রাণ সজনী গো হয় আমার মন করে উতলা আজকে মোর প্রাণ সজনী গো হয় আমার মন করে উতলা
আরে লাখ 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 ভেলকি লাখ সবার চোখে মুখে লাখ আরে প্রথমে করিলাম আমি শরীর বন্ধন বন্দিলাম ওস্তাদের অভয় চরণ চরণে আশ্রয় চাই চরণে নির্ভর তারপরে বন্দিলাম আমি আল্লাহর কাবা ঘর তোরে বন্দিলাম শিব দক্ষিণে সাগর আরে দক্ষিণে কালা মেঘে বজ্র হানে বান এই বজ্রক্ষা রক্ষা করুক তার সম্মান উপরে আসমান নিচেতে জমিন সেইখানেতে সিজদা দেয় যতে কুম্ভীর ভূমিনে ইমান আমি আজ নিলাম ঠাই আমারে রক্ষা করিবেন হযরত ঈসা
ছাড়িয়া দে পাল উড়াইয়া দে ছল ছলাইয়া চলুক রে না মাছ দইরা দিয়া চলুক মাছ দইরা দিয়া নাও ছাড়িয়া দে পাল উড়াইয়া দে ছল ছলাইয়া চলুক রে না মাছ দইরা দিয়া চলুক মাছ দইরা দিয়া উড়ালি বিড়ালি ভাবে নাওয়ের বাদাম নড়ে আরে উড়ালি বিড়ালি ভাবে নাওয়ের বাদাম নড়ে আখালি পাখালি পানি চলা আখালি পাখালি পানি চলা চলাতে করে রে আরে খলাইয়া হাইসা ওঠে বৈঠার হাতল চাইয়া ওঠে বৈঠার হাতল চাইয়া নাও ছাড়িয়া দে পাল উড়াইয়া দে ছল ছলাইয়া চলুক রে না মাছ দইরা দিয়া চলুক মাছ দইরা দিয়া
চাউর কি যায় কিচ খিলিতা দিলিতা দিলিতা তা তা চাউর কি যায় কিচ খিলিতা
আমি তাকডুম বাজাই, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল। সব ভুলে যায় তা ভুলি না বাংলা মায়ের কোল। তাকডুম বাজাই, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল।
বাংলা জন্ম দিলায় আমারে, বাংলা জন্ম দিলায় আমারে।
তোমার পরাণ আমার পরাণ এক নাড়িতে বাঁধা রে, তোমার পরাণ আমার পরাণ এক নাড়িতে বাঁধা রে। বাংলা জন্ম দিলায় আমারে।
মা পুতের এই বাঁধন ছেড়ার সাধ্য কারো নাই, সব ভুলে যাই তাও ভুলি না বাংলা মায়ের কোল।
তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল। সব ভুলে যায় তাও ভুলি না বাংলা মায়ের কোল। তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল, আমি তাকডুম বাজাই বাংলাদেশের ঢোল।
That was truly a splendid performance showcasing the cultural history and diversity of Bangladesh.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to have a short photo session. Now, I would like to request the Ambassador of India, His Excellency Mr. Jawad Ashraf, and the Ambassador of Bangladesh, His Excellency Khandakarim Talha, to come up on the stage to have photograph. May I also request the distinguished ambassadors and permanent delegates to come up on the stage to have the photo session with the performers both from India and Bangladesh. I would like to request the performers to come up on the stage to have the photo session.
There are markings on the stage to maintain social distancing. We request you to kindly adhere to that.
পয়েন্ট দেওয়া আছে, পয়েন্টগুলোতে থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ।
You may remove your mask while taking the photographs. would request to Excellency Ambassadors and the performers to please be on the stage. I would like to request the officers and the spouses of Embassy of India and Bangladesh to come up on the stage to have the photograph.
More photographs. They say that more photographs. It's going to be a big number.
Officials of the two embassies, please on stage for a photograph.
May I have your kind attention to have the photograph?
She's one of our dancers. Come on, Nina, Ashu. You have to come.
May I have your attention so that we can have Ladies and gentlemen, that brings to the conclusion of this evening's cultural soiree.
Due to the sanitary restrictions, we regret to inform you that the reception that was planned earlier will not be taking place. Unfortunately, we apologize for that.
Thank you all once again for your gracious presence.
Long live Bangladesh-India friendship.
Shubharatri, good night and bon soiree.